Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Character Analysis. This is essentially supposed to be our last episode. I have an idea, and I think I'm going to go through with it. So I'll explain that at the end of this analysis towards the end of the video. So stick around towards the end of the video because there's going to be an important announcement regarding The Last of Us character analysis. But we'll get to that. I'm also going to be announcing something on the community tab on the channel and on Discord announcements. So whether you're in the Discord or just keep an eye on community tabs, I'll be announcing something just to kind of, talk about something on the channel. Just you guys will see. Just so a heads up for that. Probably be putting it out sometime later today. Today's Thursday. You guys are watching this video. So today we're going to be talking about Jessie. And for the entire character analysis, I've been pretty much talking about, I didn't talk about all the characters because if I did, it'd be pretty long because there's a good amount of characters in The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. But I pretty much talked about the ones who are pretty important, like Joel, Ellie, Bill's pretty important and stuff. Like the characters are really important to the story, you know. So today we're going to be talking about Jessie. So Jessie is dead, as I mentioned in the last few character analysis. He is unfortunately deceased. By the hands of Abby, he got shot. Now, he's pretty important because, first of all, essentially Dina's child, it's also his child. The child that Dina was pregnant with, and JJ, it's his child. So essentially, so that's pretty important in itself. But he is a character in The Last of Us Part 2. And he resided in Jackson, Wyoming. And so we're going to be talking about him here as this entire series. It's been such a great site to just get my info from. The Last of Us Wiki. Great site. If you guys really want to know about pretty much anything about The Last of Us, it's on here. It's great sites. Shout out to them. But we're going to be talking about it. So let's talk about his background, as always. At some point prior to 2034, Jessie moved to Jackson Settlement under the leadership of Maria Miller, Tommy's wife. He also began dating Dina, another survivor in the community. Their relationship was described as on and off by Ellie, 2034 to 2038, After Ellie and Joel Miller found safe haven within Jackson, Jessie became friends with Ellie. His relationship with Dina continued in an on and off fashion for years. The two eventually agreed to break up permanently, but remained friends. In 2034, Jessie joined Jackson's border patrol, helping to keep the settlement safe from roaming infected. He patrolled regularly with several people between 2034 and 2037, notably Eugene Linden, Mike, Dina, and William. However, he patrolled with Astrid the most during this time span. He killed numerous runners and clickers while on patrol and even rescued one of the other survivors from infected attacks. He also occasionally went as a trio with Eugene and Dina, even though going in pairs was the regular protocol. By 2038, Jessie's experience as a patrolman meant he became one of the group's leaders, assigning patrol routes and briefing the patrolmen before they left for their routes. This also meant he was one of the few people Maria was willing to let patrol alone, permitting him to relieve Joel and Tommy from the patrol duties even though he did not have a partner, which you see in Last of Us Part 2 if you played. Adventure of The Last of Us Part 2. Patrolling in Jackson on the night of the community's winter dance, Jessie watched his now ex-girlfriend Dina dancing with another man. He approached Ellie at the bar, telling her how her old man, referring to Joel, had spoken with him earlier that day, strongly reminding him where and where not to send his patrols. Jessie remarked on the fact that Joel seemed to grow more involved whenever Ellie was scheduled to patrol with him. Ellie dismissed him, soon being pulled to the dance floor by Dina, leaving Jessie to watch the pair dance. The next morning, Jessie went to pick Ellie up for her patrol, since she had overslept. When she answered the door, he commented on how he heard that she had an interesting time the previous night. Ellie mistook this for him referring to her kiss with Dina, but this came as new information for him, as he was actually referring to her argument with Seth. He then joked with Ellie about her making advances on Dina, so soon after she and Jessie had broken up. After Ellie had gotten dressed and joined him outside, he warned her that she was the talk of the town from the previous night's incident. As they were moving through town, Jessie recounted the events of the night before as he heard them, trying to understand why Ellie was upset about Joel, had defended her against Seth. Ellie, however, was more concerned about whether or not Jessie was fine with Ellie and Dina's kiss, to which Jessie explained that his relationship with Dina was over. Jessie and Ellie then arrived at the tavern where Maria was waiting for Ellie. After Ellie handled things with Seth, she gave the 2 sandwiches to Jessie that Seth had given her, which Jessie quickly accepted. As Jessie, Maria, and Ellie exited the tavern, Maria told him to trade off positions with Joel and Tommy at the northwest lookout. Uh, since there had been many infected sightings in that area recently, Jesse said he had planned to go check out the creek trails and would need someone to cover that location in his place. He suggested to Maria that Ellie should take the creek trails with Dina instead, as she was familiar with the area. The group found Dina playing with some children, so Jesse jokingly told Ellie to bring her girlfriend to the stables. um, Once Ellie and Dina finally arrived at the community's main gate, Jesse handed both women rifles for their trip. He ordered the gate to be opened and then gave all the scouts a speech about the usual protocol: run their routes, mark their logbooks, clear out infected, and if things got too out of hand, leave the area immediately. Everyone then exited through the gate and went on their way. Later that day, Jesse arrived at Joel and Tommy's post. When the brothers failed to arrive, Jesse went off to search for them. Along the way, he found a library with lights on and stopped to check it. Hoping it was them, little did he know, however, that the library had an underground basement previously used by Eugene Linden as a grow house for a secret stash of marijuana. Entering the basement, he found Dean and Ellie lying together on a bed in their underwear, which, amidst this awkward situation, he turned and let them dress, and also scolded them for getting distracted on the patrol. Dina became upset with him for being upset with them, but their mood changed immediately when Jesse informed them that Joel and Tommy were missing. Ellie asked how much ground Jesse had covered on his patrol, to which he said not much. Ellie suggested everyone ride out alone different paths to cover more ground. While Jesse felt it was dangerous to do so, he agreed for the sake of Joel and Tommy's safety. The group split up, with Jesse riding west, Dina south, and Ellie going east. At some point, Jesse regrouped with Dina, and the two continued searching until they reached the Baldwin mansion, where they found Ellie and Tommy unconscious, and Joel beaten to death. Now we're going to talk about his time in Seattle. In the light of Tommy, Ellie, and Dina having left for Seattle to find Joel's killers, Jesse snuck out of Jackson to help his friends avenge Joel. He left the day after Ellie and Dina, 2 days after Tommy, but was delayed by a snowstorm in Oregon, forcing him to do an 18-hour stretches for 2 weeks in order to catch up. He arrived in Seattle roughly a day after Ellie and Dina, only to be attacked by WLF soldiers in Hillcrest neighborhood. In retaliation, Jesse blew up one of the trucks and fled, which was a distraction. Well, you'll see in The Last of Us Part 2, Ellie saw that, and, it was a kind of a distraction type deal. During the struggle, he was injured, leaving him with a slight limp. Ellie arrived, assuming the commotion Jesse had caused in the area was Tommy's work. Jesse asked about Dina's whereabouts, to which Ellie explained that she was safe, just sick. Ellie noticed that Jesse's limp, but he insisted that he was fine and revealed that he had come from Jackson alone. Still aware of the danger they were in, they decided to steal a truck and escape the area as Jesse tried to start the vehicle. However, a WLF soldier snuck up on them, reached through the driver's window, and began to choke Jesse with a crowbar. Ellie reacted immediately, killing the soldier and saving her friend. She then shot the pursuing car's driver, resulting in both trucks crashing. Infected suddenly swarmed the street, one runner lunging into Ellie's window, which Jesse hacked with his machete. In an attempt to save the chaos, Jesse drove through the nearby woods and eventually drove the truck into a lake. The pair exited the truck as it sank to the bottom, and free from the WLF infected, left the neighborhood. Ellie led Jesse back to the Pinnacle Theater, where Dina let the two in. Dina was relieved to see Jesse hugging him. She noticed that he was hurt, but he brushed it off, saying that he just needed sleep. Jesse explained that he had to sneak out to Jackson to get to Seattle, and that his friend's problems were his problems. He asked about Dina's sickness, which she said was just a stomach thing, which was really her pregnancy. Dina helped him sit down so she could aid him with his leg wound and asked when he had left home. He explained that he left a day after she and Ellie did, so he had trekked for 18 hours a day to catch up with them. Ellie walked away, leaving the pair alone. As Jesse slept, Ellie set out again, this time hoping to track down Nora Harris at the Seattle Lake Hill Hospital. She returned later that night, greeted by concerned Dina and Jesse. Seeing her covered in blood, Jesse asked if the blood was her own, to which Ellie remained silent. Ellie explained that Abby was at a nearby aquarium. Dina then helped Ellie away to clean up and get some rest, while Jesse held on to the map of Seattle. While Ellie rested and attempted to recover, Jesse spent the night looking after Dina, whose illness had worsened to the point where she could barely keep down water. His conversation with Ellie the following morning confirmed his suspicions. Dina was pregnant with his child. He convinced Ellie to leave Seattle once after they found Tommy. The pair left the theater to go search for him, but then they received information about his likely location. Ellie argued against it, saying that he could take care of himself, and they should continue pursuing Abby. Jesse, knowing that Tommy was in danger, left Ellie to her vengeance and headed for the marina on his own. There he then met up with Tommy, and the pair found found Ellie in the aquarium shortly after she had killed Owen and the pregnant Mel. Um, though she was in shock, they were able to get through her and convince her to leave with them. That night, Tommy and Jessie planned the route back to Jackson. While Tommy went to go fetch a gold necklace he had found and planned to give to Maria, Jessie asked Ellie how she was doing. Ellie reluctantly thanked him for coming back for her at the aquarium. Jessie again reminded her that his friend's problems were his problems. Um, Before they could talk further, they heard Tommy cry out from the lobby as the pair raced into the room. Abby shot Jessie right in the face, killing him instantly. Unfortunately, yes, that's how he dies. So that is the end of Jessie. Now we're going to talk about a few more things, of course, but that's pretty much how Jessie, his story leading up to his death. Now here's his legacy. So Dina gave birth to Jesse's son JJ. Now we're going to be talking about JJ a bit since it's kind of he's Jesse's son. So we're going to be talking about him a bit. So Dina gave birth to Jesse's son JJ sometime after returning from Seattle. When Ellie joined Dina in raising JJ, Jesse's parents remained involved in their grandson's life as well and blamed neither Ellie or Dina for Jesse's death. Dina frequently shared stories about Jesse to JJ, ensuring that JJ would know about his father. When Ellie left to pursue Abby once again roughly a year later, Dina begged her to stay, saying she did not want her to die like Jesse. And then you guys know what happened with Dina. Dina left with JJ, undisclosed to, us. We don't know where she went. She probably went back to Jackson. That's my guess, but I don't know. But that's pretty much Jesse. He is, like I said, for the most part, he's pretty important. He's the father of JJ, and he's just a pretty important character. Plus, I really like him. I like most of the Last of Us characters. I really like Jesse. I think he's a good character to add on. It makes sense. What he does and everything. And personally, I really like him. So that's my take on Jesse. So that's pretty much the end of his character analysis. Now I said stick around to the end, so this is where it's actually going to get pretty interesting, and this is what I plan on doing. So this should have been the end of the Last of Us character analysis. So we can move on to the next game. Now, I plan on keeping this character analysis going because I feel like you guys like it. I really like doing it. So we're going to keep it going with future games. I have plenty of games and characters to talk about and stuff. So we're going to be keeping that going. But The Last of Us, now I feel like this character analysis series for The Last of Us, it was good. It was pretty good. It was kind of a test out. It was a new series idea I had for character analysis. It was a new series. I was kind of testing it out. I didn't want to make it a huge series, so I figured I'd just talk about a few characters to see how you guys liked it and how I like doing it. And I think it all worked out really well to be able to move on with more characters and more games and stuff. So I think it really worked out. This is a kind of a test. But I'm probably going to be talking about more characters in the next game. I'm not sure what next game I'm going to do, but probably going to be talking about more characters and stuff. Just because I feel like I've learned, how to do it and stuff, and I've learned the format I'm going to do it in and everything. But yeah, no, this is not the end of the Last of Us character analysis. For characters, yes, but I have an idea. So there's a dozen different infected in The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. There's a bunch of different kinds of infected in The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. And I've seen people do it before on YouTube, so, I'm not the first person to be talking about this, obviously. And definitely not the first person to be doing character analysis. But I think I'm going to do infected analysis, which it's going to go along with The Last of Us. It's going to be in The Last of Us character analysis. But instead, it's going to be called The Last of Us infected analysis. So I'm going to be analyzing, talking about the Shambler, for example, from The Last of Us Part 2, or the Runner and everything. And we're going to be talking about, there's different stages of infected. If you guys play The Last of Us, you know that the different stages of infection and how long, for example, the bloater. The bloater is the top stage of infected. Like, you have to be infected for a long time to get to that stage. So we're going to be talking about how long it takes to get to that stage of infected and their powers, how much power each infected has, and kind of just talking about infected. So I think it's a really good idea, and that is, talking about important characters. They're the reason that the game exists. Like, infected are probably the biggest, characters, if you will, in both games. So, I wasn't, originally going to do this, but an idea popped in my head probably about a week or two ago, and I figured let's talk about infected. So we're going to be talking about all infected. So runners, stalkers, clickers, shamblers, the bloaters, and yeah, all five of those. So it'll be pretty much five extra bonus episodes, if you will. Just talk about infected. Kind of like in the same format, just talking about everything. And yeah, I may or may not do the Rat King, depending on because it could be spoilers, depending on if you guys haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 or not. But I guess most of it is spoilers. Most of what I talk about in analysis is spoilers. So I'll probably do it. You'll see. But definitely those five infected I'm going to do. So probably, there'll be 5 to 6 more Last of Us infected analysis. So expect that coming, and then we'll move on. But I figured it's a nice little bonus just talking about the infected, and I think it's pretty cool to do. So, yeah. But that's pretty much the end of it. Make sure to subscribe for more content, like the video, all that good stuff. Discord, Twitch, Instagram, links in the description. And remember to keep an eye on the community tab and the announcements segment in Discord. I'm going to be making an announcement. It's going to be the same announcement on community and Discord, but just so it gets to more people, on Discord and, community tab too. It helps out the channel a lot. But yeah, so keep an eye on those two. I'll be making an announcement, and, nothing too major, by the way. Just something I'm doing on the channel, But yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.